Morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Friday. Happy Friday, the 15th of August, 2025. I hope you're all safe and healthy today, getting ready for your weekend. Hope your family is also safe and healthy and getting ready for their weekend, and that the needs of you and your family in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health are being met today. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field, along with the first responders who every day are doing their best to save lives. Those also that pick up garbage to keep our places clean, and those that make deliveries for our convenience. Double blessings on the men and women out here trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover teenagers and children that are victims of child molestation and pedophilia. Those out here trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover victims of prostitution, child prostitution, victims of pornography, child pornography, human trafficking, and sex slavery. Double curses on all the perpetrators, the profiteers, and the perverts that keep these industries in existence. Finally, double blessings on the homeless. More than 700,000 men, women, children, families, senior citizens, military veterans, homeless in the United States of America. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. So yesterday afternoon, the schedule did come out after we made our video yesterday. And yesterday's video, we talked about the important part of the schedule is how many back-to-backs you have, as well as how many long road trips you have. And for our purposes, definition of long road trip is 3 games or more. A 1-game road trip is not a long road trip, but 3 games or more on the road represents, in our definition, a long road trip. So the Knicks have 13 back-to-backs, and they have at least 2 5-game road trips and multiple 3-game road trips. But overall, as I'm going to talk to you about the schedule a little bit more detail, it's actually a good schedule. The toughest month for the Knicks is March. March is the toughest month. In March, they have 3 back-to-backs. They have 11 road games. They have a 5-game road trip, and they have a 3-game road trip. So there's 11 games on the road in March, and that's out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's out of 17 games, which is a pretty big schedule for a month. So they're playing 17 games in March. They have 2 long road trips in March and 3 back-to-backs. That's the toughest month. Now, what does that mean? Obviously, if you want to be playing your best basketball at the end of the season, that means that Mike Brown's going to have to really get his 10-man rotation moving early. Settle in on who his 10 guys are and have his 11th and 12th guy prepared, because you're going to need them in March, and you're going to need them playing well and cohesively in March. So the season begins obviously in late October. So yes, that you don't win championships then, but you want to get in a flow and develop a flow. So that, and that's the thing, all due respect with Mr. Thibodeau, he would develop a flow. By the time you got to 30 games, he knew what his lineup was. He knew what he wanted. He knew whose guys were that was going to be playing minutes. Problem, of course, as we know, was he only plays 7 to 8 and sometimes 9 guys, but usually 7 to 8. So Mike Brown is going to play 10, and he's going to also add 11th and 12th. That's going to be important as we talk about the season, because the NBA season, as I always says, is an 82-game grind. It is not a sprint. There is no must-win games in October and November. It's a long season. And so you have to develop over the course of the season and time your development in terms of breadth and width and wind, so that you're ready at the end of the season and keeping your players fresh. So speaking of that, I did see the TikTok that was on Ian Begley's page for X with Mitchell Robinson. And what I was impressed with, and I'm normally not that impressed. I've learned over the years to not be that impressed with summer workouts, because sometimes they don't mean anything to what the player is going to do. And generally, I used to be looking for new wrinkles they want to add to their game, and very rarely did they really, translate to the regular season. But what I liked about the Mitchell Robinson workout video was the movement, the motor. See, again, defense wins championships. And guys that play great defense at the 5, like Mitchell Robinson, motor is the biggest thing. See, so a lot of big guys, you know, a couple of years ago, Zach Edey was the big name at the 5 coming into the draft, and I was concerned then about his motor because you could be big, you can, you know, swat shots, but if you can't run the floor consistently, then what good is it? Okay, and then as a rookie at the 5, you're gonna get in foul trouble anyway. It's just part of your you know introduction to the league. So with Edie, you know, he was able to play limited minutes because of his lack of motor. You want a guy that can run and that can run for the whole time he's out there. Now, again, we don't want Mitchell Robinson playing more than 30 minutes a game. But if we can get that motor for 25 minutes from Mitchell Robinson with his experience and understanding how to stay out of foul trouble, the Knicks going to be something this year with him. So I was excited to see the motor that he was using yesterday. He knows how to play the game at the 5. He knows what he needs to do. He knows where he needs to be. He knows how to call out defenses. This is his 7th season, so he knows what he's doing. The motor has to be there, and he has to stay healthy. I saw the motor yesterday. That was encouraging, very encouraging. So, yeah, Mitch Rob looks like he's going to be ready. The movement was there. This is the first summer, and I don't know how long, that he's been able to just work on his game, which in his case, again, I mentioned motor and quickness and speed and length, to work on that in the summer instead of rehabbing from an injury. He's been rehabbing from an injury for so many summers, and so including last summer. So this summer, he's able to work on his game. One summer he was able to do it, and he put on, like, he got too big. He got like 280 pounds, thinking that was going to hurt him. All it did was get himself hurt, slow him down. It didn't help. Okay, so that's, you know, no. But this year, he's slimmed down. He's looking active. His motor is there. The experience is obviously there, so we're excited about that. So you're going to have to use aerial hoop party quite a bit. And you're going to need to use Cat at the 5 for a little bit. So you're going to have Cat, Ariel, and Mitch Rob. Yabusele can play some 5 in a small ball lineup. Unless Mike Brown decides to go small a lot, and I don't know if he will or won't, but that really, you won't really need to use him at the 5. You really need Yabusele at the 4, and even maybe at the 3. He's too strong and big for most 3s, and he can move and hustle and run the floor with most 3s. So that's why I see him using Yabusele. But you're going to need Mitchell Robinson, Ariel Hukporti, and you're going to use Karl-Anthony Towns. I don't think they're going to use Karl-Anthony Towns at the 5 for extended minutes unless somebody's hurt or in foul trouble, God forbid. So, you know, if let's say 10, 12 minutes a game at the 5 at the most, I'm thinking for Cat. And at the 5, he becomes dangerous, as we know, because nobody could guard him at the 5. And he's a tremendous passer from the 5. So that helps a lot. But you don't want to overdo it and get diminishing returns, as we know. So with respect to the schedule, they got that Knicks have a 5-game road trip in November, and that's an excellent thing. Why do I say it's an excellent thing? If you're going to have a difficult, well, they got a 5-game road trip: Miami, Dallas, Orlando, Brooklyn, and Charlotte. If you're going to have a 5-game road trip, get it over early, get it done early. And then you don't have to worry about it no more. That's it. You're done. And you want to do it when your season is fresh, when you're starting out, no matter what the results. You could always improve. You could always come back from that. If you don't have a good road trip, you could always come back. You know, you got the rest of the season. It's an early part of the season. Okay. Second thing, with respect to back-to-backs, if there is a silver lining in a back-to-back, and there's very little, it's when the back-to-back is either 2 home games in a row, or it ends on the home court, okay? So the Knicks, are the 13 back-to-backs that they have, 8 of them are either 2 home game back-to-backs, because they're staying home. It ain't like they got to travel anywhere. They got home cooking, home therapy, all that stuff. Or they end at home. So that's good. So the Knicks have, in November, they have 2 back-to-backs. In December, they have 2 back-to-backs. In January, I think they got 3 back-to-backs in January. They got 3 in January. Let's see, 1, 2. Yeah, they got 3 in January. In February, they have two again. Usually they'll have two. This season, it seems like two is most of the time, but three in January, three back-to-backs in January, and of course, there are three back-to-backs in March, and only one of them end up at Madison Square Garden. So they have two, the LA Lakers and Clippers. That's a common one because they're both in basically the same city. There's no real travel. You stay there, you play one of them, then the next night you play the other one in the same city. Then you have, and that's the West Coast trip that they have to go through every year. So it's Denver, It's Denver, Lakers, Clippers, Utah, and then they end up coming east for Indiana. That's going to be a tough one. That's going to be at the end of a 5-game road trip. That's in March. That's going to be tough. That's going to be a tough one, I can tell you right now. And Indiana, even without Halliburton, is still going to be a well-disciplined, well-coached, tough team. They're not going to be the same team without Halliburton, but don't sleep on them. They still going to be tough. So that is a tough back-to-back. And then that same in March, the next week, they play Memphis in Memphis, and then they travel back to Brooklyn, which is really not a road game, as we know, in New York. But it counts as a road game because it's in Brooklyn. But they're getting home cooking again. But really, Memphis and then Brooklyn and that. So March is going to be tough. But they do, and the back-to-backs, like I said, if you're going to get back-to-back, 13 is about the right number. It's about average. When they really favor a team, they'll have 10 or less. So they don't favor New York, but they're not trying to destroy New York either. They usually do with 14 or 15. But this year, 13 back-to-backs. Most of them end up with the Knicks at home, and a couple of them are home and home. I mean, 2 at home in a row. So that's good. And again, with the fact that Mike Brown is going to play 10 guys consistently, this gives those 10 guys a chance to gel. The only guys that really need to fit in at this point are Yabusele and Jordan Clarkson, because everybody else knows each other now. They've all played at least a year together, so they all know each other. But Yabusele and Clarkson are going to have to learn to play with their new Knicks teammates. Yabusele is a hustler, a floor diver, a guy that runs the floor, a guy that'll dive on the floor, a guy that'll fight for every rebound. Tough kid. And I say kid, he's like 29, but 30, but he tough, and he's got a lot of basketball in his body. He's not a wore-down car. He even though he may have a lot of age, his mileage is not that high. So I'm expecting him to fit in well and be a crowd favorite. He's going to be a bigger version of Josh Hart in the Charlie Hustle department. Then you got Clarkson, who's going to, that's going to be an adjustment. He's got to learn his teammates. Thing about a guy like Clarkson is, no matter what team you put him on, and he's been on a number of teams. He's been on the Lakers. He's been on, I think, Milwaukee. He's been in Cleveland. He's been on a number of teams. He's going to score regardless of what team he's on, because that's what he does. That's his gift. He's going to score anytime. The question is, can he score in the flow of Mike Brown's offense? That's the question. Can he score in the flow of Brown and TJ Saint and Chris Gent's offense? Or does he force stuff? He's going to score. He's a natural scorer. So he's going to get points. The question is, how efficiently is what I'm saying. Can he get those points? How efficiently can he get them? Because if he gets them in an efficient manner, it keeps everybody else in the flow. See? So that's going to be an adjustment for him. And I want to give him a good 25 games to get into that before we start criticizing what he's doing or what the coaches are doing with him, which a lot of y'all are going to do anyway. But I would like to give him that 25, 30 games to get into a flow and understand where his teammates are, understand where they're going to be on the floor, understand where he needs to be, what the plays are running. That stuff is going to take a little time. So to me, I'm expecting Clarkson to have the biggest adjustment period. Like I said, he's going to score regardless. A scorer is a scorer, regardless. They're going to score regardless. When Sprewell came to the Knicks, he was a scorer. He had been a scorer in Golden State. So I knew when he came to New York, it didn't matter what offense they was going to run. Sprewell was going to get his anyway. Not that he get it selfishly. He was going to get it because of how great of a player he was. And he did, obviously. And not only that, it was in the flow with Sprewell, especially with him and Camby working together. Well, I'm hoping with Jordan Clarkson, Yabusele, Deuce, Hart, and Ariel Hukporti working together, that they get in the flow together and learn together. They're going to be practicing, most days. Mike Brown's a big practice coach, so they'll be running together against the first unit a lot. And so they'll learn each other. They can't do it now, really, because unless they do a pickup game, there's rules against it. But come training camp, they're gonna have to be running together, learning each other, and it's take a little bit. So you gotta give Jordan Clarkson some time for that. He's gonna still score, and he's gonna win games for us. He may lose some too, but by the time you get 25, 30 games, he'll have his roll down pat. He'll know the plays. He'll know where his teammates are going to be. It's going to be exciting to watch, okay? So, yeah, I like the schedule overall. I like that they got 5-game road trip in November, and they don't have another one until you get to March. I like that they have 10 guys running, and I like the motor. Mitchell Robinson showing. We already know Ariel Hukporti has a motor. That's what got him on the floor last year. He's got a motor, and he plays defense. He's going to keep doing that. The key thing with him is, can he stay available? And we don't know that because he didn't last year. He got his meniscus problem last year. So can he stay available? We're going to need that. We're going to need him to be available. I don't feel like Najee's ready right now. And I'd rather not have to force the issue and bring him up too soon. I'd like to keep Najee in the G League lab for this whole season, just to develop the techniques that he needs as an NBA 5. He has tremendous natural raw ability in terms of his height, weight, movement. He has all that. But there's nuances to the game. Like I said, he gets easily pushed out of defensive position for the rebound. He needs to stake out his real estate and claim it, and then and then claim that ball when it goes up, when it comes off that rim. So Mark Bryant's going to help him with that. He really is. He's going to help him a lot with that. So that's good. I feel like the Knicks are going to make one more move, though. I know Ian Begley and his boy there from the pod said they're going to want another veteran. I don't know if they want to get another veteran. To me, they got enough talent between Watson, Beauchamp, Pate, and McCullough, especially McCullough, Beauchamp, and Watson. They got enough talent that they can fill in that 12th man. Any of those guys could. And so, to me, I'd open up a spot to make one of them get that contract. I think they're going to already get Landry Shamet. So, that's going to be the 11th guy. The 12th guy is going to be important. Like I said, come March, all them cats are going to play. They're going to be playing, okay? March is going to be a tough month. And then, of course, you got the last month of the season, which is April, which is really at that time, when you get to April, everybody's already pretty much solidified and where they are in the season. I mean, where the playoff race is. And in April, the Knicks only got 5 games, and they got 4 of them at home. So, at that point, you could start playing on your 11th, 12th back-end bench guys, two-way guys. You could start playing them then and start resting your starters in your 10-man rotation, at that point. So, March is hard, but prep for the playoffs is easier, much easier for the Knicks. So avoiding injury, staying healthy, they know what they got to do, and start playing their best basketball when it's toughest in March. Well, here we go, man. We've all been waiting for this. So the season's going to start. October 2nd is the preseason game. 2 games in Abu Dhabi against Philly. And then they got a preseason game on the 9th against Minnesota, and another preseason on the 13th against Washington. And they finished the preseason against Charlotte at the Garden on the 17th. We're excited. Preseason is good. I just don't want to see nobody get hurt. Last year, both Deuce, Precious, and Shamet hurt themselves early, either in preseason or early in the season. We want to avoid that this year. And then the regular season starts, as we know, national TV against Cleveland at MSG. And then followed by Boston at the MSG also. So this is going to be, going to be good. I am planning on going to 2 games this year. Can't go to as many as before because, as I said, I'm retired now. That loot ain't flowing like it was before. And my wife and I are getting ready to do some traveling to South America. So we got to save our pennies. But I'm going to see the Minnesota. I want to go to see Minnesota in December. It's Minnesota on the 23rd of December at Minnesota. I'm probably going to take my 2 grandsons with me to that game. Last year I took my oldest boy. This year I'm going to take his 2 sons, my 2 grandsons, and we're going to go to that game. Because that's the thing now. If somebody asked me about Orlando, and I said this same thing before and they didn't catch it. Listen, I want to see my grandchildren. It ain't just the Knicks. So I ain't going to no cold-ass Minnesota just, for nothing. I'm going to see my grandchildren. So we're going to hang out. And then in February 3rd, I'm gonna take my baby, my oldest daughter, express interest in going. Last year I took my son-in-law. We're gonna go to Washington and see the Wizards against the Knicks on February 3rd and eat at I forgot the name of that place, man. We're gonna eat at this nice restaurant that's right next to the Capital One Center. And yeah, that's gonna be another outing that we're gonna have this season. So I'm excited about that. I'm racked up some Sky Miles, so I hopefully can use some of that to get this done. And I'm gonna see these two games. I know there's an Orlando game. I'm not gonna be going to that one. There's an Orlando game on the 22nd of November, but I ain't going to that one. I ain't gonna go to that one. Yeah, like I said, I gotta save my pennies. Cause I ain't buying no tickets in the nosebleeds. Raw don't do nosebleed. We do closer to the court as we could get. We do closer to the Knicks benches we could get. So that's what we trying to get done. Okay. Yeah, that's that. Y'all, please enjoy your weekend. Be safe out there. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy this upcoming season that's coming. Hopefully, we'll get some news on the last signings, Shamit, Diawara for the Knicks soon. And maybe they make a move to get another roster spot open so we can get one of our youngins that's ready to play up there, ready to play. Y'all enjoy it. Shalom.